Welcome to Conference Talks Podcast, hosted by Mike Parker, Steve Peterson, and Gabriella Parker. Join us as we explore and discuss key messages from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints General Conference Talks, through heartfelt conversations, personal reflections, and practical applications. In this week's episode, in two parts as we look at Elder Carlos A. Godoy's talk from the 2025 October conference titled Smiling Faces and Grateful Hearts. And we are joined by our special guest, Sophia Parker, who is currently living in the Dominican and teaching English to children. We talked about tender mercies from God as we step out of our comfort zone and following promptings of the Spirit when serving and working with others. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. Welcome to Conference Talks Podcast. We're so excited to be here with you today. Today, for our special guest, I have Sophia Parker, which is also my sister. Sophia is currently serving in the Dominican Republic, where she is teaching English for 6 months. She recently completed her first semester at BYU, Idaho, and is preparing to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Sophia is a gifted dancer and artist, but even more than that, Sophia is a woman of deep faith, resilience, and compassion. Throughout her life, she has faced difficult circumstances and situations with courage, drawing closer to God and Jesus Christ through each experience. She carries a spirit of friendship and service wherever she goes and has a rare sensitivity and empathy and spiritual insight that blesses the lives of those around her. I admire her deeply, and I'm so grateful to have you with us on the podcast today. I just wanted to first start out, Sophia, by asking you a little bit about what your thoughts were as you read through this talk, and what were some of the inspiration and connections that you felt about smiling faces and grateful hearts.
Yeah, okay. So I really enjoyed rereading this talk because of where I'm at right now and what I'm doing, because it's been hard to adjust to this new place and this new environment. Culture shock has definitely been a big hardship, I guess is what you could say. And it's been uncomfortable. And so right from the beginning, I wanted to have a good mindset going in and not focus on the uncomfortable and the hard and what I didn't like. So every night I would try and just say gratitudes to myself and to God. I kind of did it in a prayer form of I'm so grateful for this and this. And I just listed things off until I fell asleep, basically. And I was surprised at how much I could find I was grateful for and how much I do still have. Everything that I'm blessed with, even though it is hard and it's uncomfortable and there are things that I wish I didn't have to deal with. But I really loved re-listening to this because it's just a great reminder of focusing on the good of our lives and really just letting all of that come in, and instead of focusing on all the bad, and all the hard and uncomfortable. And yeah, it's been really good for me, especially being here.
Thank you. Well, that's such beautiful insight. And I love how you tie that in about cultivating gratitude and focusing on doing that every night and actively pursuing it and actively taking time to recognize all the things that you're grateful for. And what that does, I think, to us as humans is we actively are practicing gratitude, because it's not a natural thing that comes to us. We think a lot about our own wants, needs, and desires first, and also about everything that we don't have. So it's a real proactive step to be grateful and to see gratitude. And I think sometimes we can be forced into those situations just by the circumstances of our lives, which kind of leans into President Nelson's quote, which has really caught fire over the last, I'd say 6 years, has just really been about the joy that we experience in our life has little to do with the circumstances. And I think that our joy is expounded upon as we, one, grow outside of ourselves and think less inward and about our wants and needs, and looking outwards to other people and how to help with that. Looking outwards and then also upwards. There's a look and a recognition to God and what he's doing in his play in our life. For you, I find it interesting too, because you've moved from a comfortable place to take sort of this big new adventure, which is super exciting, but also has a lot of discomfort to it, going to the Dominican. Can you talk us a little bit about what it was like to transition to that? Not only what you thought about it was going to be before you came to the Dominican, and then what it has been as you've been there experiencing it.
Yeah, so I definitely knew that it was going to be a transition. I didn't know how difficult that transition was actually going to be. So getting here, I've been here for almost 3 weeks now, and it's definitely very, very different. You'd think that, maybe not you'd think, but I thought that it was going to be pretty easy to just settle in and get to know people, get friends, get into a routine. But it's actually been really difficult for me to just make my life how I want it to be here, make connections how I wanted to, and to connect with the people in the ways I wanted to. And it's been hard, and I've had to go to God a lot and just say, I need help, I need strength, like, I need you to lead me, I need you to guide me, I need you to work through me because I don't know what to do on my own. And so it's been a lot of, I think, humbling experience in the sense of like, I can't do anything without Jesus Christ and without God's power in my life. And I can't really be happy or survive without, you know, actively being grateful and thanking Him for the blessings that I am blessed with, because it's so easy to fall into just the negative and everything that's going wrong and how I want to change this or that or how I want to go home. So I've been really grateful for this experience, even though it's only been 3 weeks into my trip. Just being able to like let God work in my life how He needs me to, and just kind of accepting that and letting Him, truly letting go and letting Him just work through me. I still haven't gotten to that point yet, but I want to, because I won't be able to connect with the people the way I want to without Him, because we don't speak the same language. I won't be able to go to the places that I need to go without Him, because I just don't know, right? I'm in such a foreign place, country, and I don't have any knowledge of this. And if I want to make a difference, I really just have to accept that God needs to take over and that He will provide, and He does have a plan for me here.
Yeah, that's really, really important and just beautifully said. I love what you were talking about of kind of changing the way that you thought things were going to be or surrendering to God. I was thinking a lot about our last episode with Rebecca Anderson, we talked about surrendering and what that looks like and feels like and kind of that collaboration with God. And I think ultimately there's a real relief in that. She sort of brought up the illustration of being able to like not fighting against the current so much, that we're working together with God and God is working with us to bring about these miraculous things, but that we don't need to become so tied up on how that looks like, or what that manifestation of blessing or miracles needs to be. And I think that's kind of the hard transition that you're going through, or that any of us go through, is when we come to places and when we come maybe with the intention to serve and do something, we kind of have a specific vision or idea of what that looks like, or how that's going to come about. And then it doesn't manifest that way, or it's very different, or maybe you're even faced with opposition instead of kind of an embracing of that. So it takes a lot more pause and reflection, as well as the ability to just, again, give over opportunity, and to let the Spirit guide there, which I think you're doing really well and leaning into more, right? There's a lot of unexpected things that are happening, and you're faced with situations where you just have to kind of react in the moment and lean on those quiet prayers. One part of the talk at the beginning, he said, President James E. Faust once stated, "It has been said that this church does not necessarily attract great people, but more often makes ordinary people great." The greatness of our saints in Africa becomes even more evident as they face life's challenges and the demands of a growing church. They always approach it with a positive attitude, and they embody the well-known teaching from President Russell M. Nelson: "The joy we feel has little to do with the circumstances of our lives and everything to do with the focus of our lives." I just want to talk a little bit about that and your perspective being in the Dominican, of not only your experience with, facing difficulty, but seeing others experience. I think we always have an outward perspective as people face things that honestly we can't really imagine or fathom or understand how we would deal with, and just wanted to see what insights you have.
Yeah, I really, really like what you said about this church it isn't full of great people, it makes great people, because I think that applies for anywhere in the world, right? Like, it's not just Dominican, but I will talk about how Dominican is. This church transforms people with gospel, and I think just Jesus in general actually is really doing the transforming. Our relationship with God will make us great in a world that doesn't want us to be. But for the Dominican, I can for sure see that. There are a lot of really happy, amazing, great people here. But I notice that even though I can't speak their language and I can't understand them really, most of them, the light that the members have here. Or it's really beautiful being able to go to church and share the same gospel, even if we don't share anything else. And just how loving and welcome and happy they are in the circumstances that they live. It's just incredible because I don't think personally I could ever do that. But I know that through Christ, like they can and they are, and they're wonderful, amazing people. Even though I don't talk to them, I can't understand them. I don't know what they're really saying. I can feel the spirit and feel that they're good people who love Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ has blessed them and has brought me to this place so that I can be blessed by them and I can bless them. And it's just beautiful to work through the spirit instead of just through words. Like it's difficult, but it can happen. We can touch each other with our spirits and with our testimonies. It doesn't just have to happen through words. And so I think that's a big part of how this church makes people great. It's because we can connect throughout the whole world without really understanding each other, you know?
The language of the spirit is there, right? And it's being able to change and to speak to us in the way that we can understand. But the core of it, all of our needs are the same. All of our questions and longings that we have, and the way that Christ connects with us is in the same way, same language. And it's important for us to come together and to share those experiences, as well as our testimonies and the insights that we've had. And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit more about, because we were speaking about kind of tender mercies and how the Lord works with us in little ways. And you were kind of explaining some of the prayers in your heart and communications that you had as you were kind of making these big shifts and changes. Can you talk a little bit more about that experience?
Okay. So big tender mercy for me, and it was a very specific tender mercy, was I was really worried about the bugs and specifically the spiders here. And so when I first got here and everything was new and kind of scary and unknown, I just prayed a lot that I wouldn't have to deal with that trial yet. That if I could just go 2 weeks without seeing any big spiders or bugs or dealing with that in my room or in my house, like I just prayed for that constantly because I just felt like I wasn't quite capable for dealing with that yet. And I was blessed with that. I really was. And I think that was the Lord's hand in that because everyone else in my house had to deal with those kinds of things. But I still haven't. And it's been over 2 weeks. And I think that it's been really powerful for me to have that experience where just God really cared about what I cared about, even though it doesn't seem like a big thing. Like those things aren't going to hurt me usually or kill me or anything like that. And I can deal with it. But he knew how afraid and how worried and how much I just didn't want to deal with it at the moment, and how much I prayed that he could just protect me from that for a couple weeks while I settled in. And it was just such a little thing, but it was so powerful to me to just know that like God has my back here, even if I feel alone, even if I feel scared, even if it's something I don't know, like he has my back and like I can handle anything with Jesus Christ. So that was been a really powerful and kind of silly, but it was a really good experience for me to just have that reminder here that like I'm not alone.
Yeah, it is. And it's probably the way that I think I connect the most with God is through those small answered prayers or acts of faith, or just little personal moments where you just see and know that the things that you care about, and even knowing that they're so insignificant and that they don't matter, and that maybe I shouldn't even pray for this thing, having that answered, it really helps to kind of solidify that faith and trust in a loving Heavenly Father and in Savior Jesus Christ. And like for you, like what did that do for your relationship? Was that kind of the calm reassurance of like, I'm here with you, that even though you're taking these big steps on your own to be down in the Dominican, to do these hard, scary things you've never done before, did you feel like a closer connection to to God and a sense of safety in those small prayers being answered?
Yeah, 100%. And I just feel like a deeper trust in like our relationship, and that he's hearing my prayers and he's answering them, and like he's here for me in this time. Like even though I chose this, I chose to be in the Dominican, I chose to change and to serve and to be uncomfortable, he still sees the struggles and that is hard for me, and he still wants to be there for me and wants to build the relationship that we already have. And it's really helped me trust God more and know that he will provide for me as long as I put my faith and trust in him. And really that's it. As long as I'm trusting in him and know that he will provide for me, like he will. it's been really interesting because it's not just the spiders here that are scary. I'm in a pretty poor part of Dominican Republic, and it's got a lot of violence and just a lot of discourse among the people. So it's not a very safe environment that I'm living in, but I have felt so safe the whole time being here. I have felt just protected, and there's nothing to be worried about. I still do, like, just walking through the streets, of course, never at night, but I know that like I'm protected and nothing bad can happen to me because I know that I'm supposed to be here for a reason and God has a plan for me. And obviously, anything can happen, and the plan may change, but I've been feeling really good, especially being in a place so different and probably much more dangerous than I've ever experienced before.
Yeah. It's really, really amazing, right? That we're able to do these things and be helped by God. And I think it's really only when we can look back and see how much He has magnified us and been able to help us do things that honestly couldn't imagine doing on our own. I think that's the real gift of the gospel, and what I see throughout the scriptures is God again calling ordinary people to do extraordinary things and helping mold them and shape to do those things. And it comes with time and patience and acts of faith. I wanted to talk a little bit about gratitude in challenging environments without minimizing real hardship. Like how do we kind of talk about, and especially people here at the Dominican or in this talk, he's talking about various saints in Africa, that they're faced with real hard circumstances and difficulties in living in many, many trials, and not to minimize that hardship, right? And especially when we have prayers that we've been praying for over and over, or things that we just want to be changed or be lifted, and that's not happening, or it's not part of the plan, or it's not the timing. How do we still create gratitude and joy in those moments? What have been your insights as you've watched other people in their lives, and how they navigate that?
Yeah. It's been really interesting working with kids and the people here and seeing their lifestyle. And it's been hard. It's been hard to, realize because I'll never be able to comprehend the way I grew up and how I've lived this lifestyle that they live. And, a lot of them don't know where they're going to get the money for their next meal. A lot of them are just really living day by day. And it's really hard to see and to not really be able to do anything about it. But I've been able to kind of understand that these people, what they really need is like Jesus Christ. They need the hope that the gospel gives and the love and comfort of Jesus Christ, because I won't be able to, save them all. I won't be able to feed them all. I won't be able to give them all homes. But I can give them hope. And that's, a really big, important thing. And I think it's really important for me to be that example, to show them, to pray with them, to just constantly be loving them despite their differences or just not even being able to understand them. Just being able to like be selfless and show selfless Christ-like love to these people, because that's what they really need. They need to see that example. When I see people, I mostly mean the kids, because that's what I'm working with. A lot of them come from hard homes that maybe don't see a lot of love. So it's really important for me to just, be patient and Christ like with them and just show them that, this is a safe place and you can always feel the Spirit. You can always be comforted by the Spirit in this hard situation that you live in.
I love that. I want to ask just a follow-up question about what has that looked like for you, or what are some of the ways that you've been trying to share the love of Christ and the knowledge of Christ or Jesus, or His Spirit, right? You're in a school, so it's not necessarily going to maybe always come up organically, but knowing that you're not here to change their circumstances, that you don't really have any control over, their family life or their income, and being able to change that hardship around it, instead trying to bring the Spirit and trying to show the love. How has that happened for you? How have you felt like you've been able to maybe increase in love and empathy? What has God taught you in those moments? Have there been moments of clarity for you where you've really felt like this is how God sees me, or this is how God sees that person, and there's just been some eye-opening experiences?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I didn't really have that. I just recently had the insight of, I just need to love these people. Like I can't do much I don't have much to give, but I just need to love them and show them Christ-like love. So it's been a journey to get to that point, but I'm only 2 weeks in. So I will tell a story of just this last couple days. I'm working with Haitian kids and they don't speak any English at all. And so it's kind of difficult to teach them or to have them, listen to me because they just don't understand. And they're quite violent and inappropriate. And it's hard because that's what they just learned, right? And they're so young. And so it's been hard to teach them. It's been hard to connect with them. And I remember one day after school with the Haitian kids, I was just like, I can't do this. Like, I can't teach them. I can't connect with them. Like, this is too hard. And they're just crazy kids. Like, I was just thinking about all the negative, all the negative things. And there was this one girl in particular who was just very violent. And she was just scratching and biting and hitting and like me and other students. I kind of grown to, I guess, resent her a little bit. Like I didn't really want her to come to class, which sounds so terrible, but it distracted all the other kids. It made it really hard for me. And so that night I prayed and I just said, okay, like I do not want to feel resent for any of these kids. Like I just want to be here for them. I want to be a teacher that, they can feel safe around and who they love and respect. And I just had the feeling of, tomorrow, just hug her, just hold her hand, just show her love. And I was like, okay, like I could try, but she's probably gonna just bite me or hit me or swat me away. And so the next day she came into class and the first thing I did was I just waved and I smiled at her and she didn't wave at me, she didn't smile at me. And so then I went up to her and I gave her a hug and she wasn't really reciprocating. And I just held her hand and she was so sweet. That whole class, she was so sweet to everyone. And every time she kind of wanted to act up or I could see that she was wanting to kind of go back and hit or something, I would just hold her hand and I would just say, hey, like, it's okay. Like, and she can't understand me, but she can hear the tone of my voice and how I feel about her. Like she can definitely feel that and hear that. And it really just changed how class went and how she behaved. And it was such a little miracle because I know it won't be like that every day, but I know that she just needed some positive and helpful reinforcement from someone that like actually cares and loves her. And so it's been a journey and it's going to continue to be a journey. I know that for sure. But I just want to love these kids. I want them to feel like that I'm someone they can go to and they have a safe place to go to in their lives and I can be there for them in any way that they need.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It's really beautiful. And one thing that I loved is that you were kind of pushing past your own feelings and judgments and ideas around this little girl in this situation and really leaning into, again, what the Spirit and God was telling you to do and just the miracles that come out of that. And I think that's what we're faced with all the time, every time is to push past our idea, our thoughts about people or other situations and to really listen and be willing to act on the impressions that we get from the Holy Ghost and how that can change us and other people. And not always will those impressions pan out. Like there's still risk and vulnerability in being the person to reach out and to hug someone, not sure if you're going to be, met with the embrace or with kind of a stop and get back or retaliation to it. So it takes real faith and courage as we try and make these changes in our lives and cultivate gratitude. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sophia. I know it was a little bit tricky with the connection and getting all of this lined up, but I'm really, really grateful to have this conversation and for all of your insights here. Thanks for joining us on Conference Talks. We hope today's discussion has inspired you to live the message of the gospel a little more each day. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and share it with a friend. Until next time, let's keep learning, living, and becoming true disciples of Jesus Christ.